Hello and welcome everyone again to another video. And today's video we are going to be talking about the Great League Remix Cup. Great League Remix Cup is an open Great League Cup, but there is some bans. And the bans are basically the most common stuff that people use in the Go Battle League. So Alolan Sandslash, Ninetale, Wigglytuff, Alolan Night Slash. Alolan Sandslash, Alolan Ninetale, Wigglytuff, Noctowl, Lantern, Azu, Umbreon, Pelipper, Sableye, Medi, Toxie. Who does use Toxie? Basically, this is what Niantic said the most used Pokemons. I have never seen anyone using Scrafty. Greninja, maybe people who watch Psionic think that use Greninja, but I haven't seen Greninja, Stunfisk, or Scrafty. So those three are questionable. For example, I don't see Skarmory, and Skarmory was one of the most popular Pokemons last season. I don't see Poliwrath, and it was one of the most popular Pokemons, okay? So those are like the banned Pokemons in the Great League Remix. So we are left with a bunch of stuff that, you know, like when they banned the OP Pokemons, so we will see new OP Pokemons, but they are less annoying. You won't have, like, at least it's a cup without Basti, right? So just imagine, would that cup be good? Would you approve it if it doesn't have Basti? And if we look at the PvPoke ranking, Skarmory is number 1. I have no idea how Skarmory dodged the ban. Followed by Carbink, Mandibuzz, Gligar. Mandibuzz has always been one of the most dominant Pokemons in the Great League Remix Cup. Gligar, the Shadow. You need the Shadow Gligar, by the way. So if you don't have it, make sure to read it. Vigoroth is an insane Pokemon, especially after they gave it Rock Slide for no reason. Well, there is a reason to give it a good move, but it wasn't necessarily supposed to be Rock Slide, right? Guzzlord is good because other dragons are banned. The better dragons are banned, and Dragonair... wait, Dragonair is not banned. What's Dragonair here then? Obama Snow, Poliwrath, Swampert, and Licky Tongue. Wait, Licky isn't banned? Oh my, we're gonna end up with an OGL, to be honest, an Open Great League meta, like the same as the current one. So I divided the Open Great League Remix Cup into 3 different categories. Just as always, if you are around the channel, you know that we usually divide Pokemons into leads, safe swaps, generalists. What are the leads? Leads are technically the Pokemons that do have some fast move pressure, and they still pressure shield, and they do have a coverage move and a nuking move. Skarmory technically does not have a coverage move, but it's a good lead Pokemon because you cannot safe swap it. Safe swaps are Pokemon that either can do great in the 2 shield scenario, where if you need to flip swap, you will be able to, and this is just due to their like either fast move pressure or them having a debuff move, such as like Icy Wind. Generalists are the Pokemons that just do well, period. They don't care. And they don't care about what they face. And they are generally good in the 0 shield scenario as well. So in the lead scenario, as we can see in PvPoke, Skarmory is number 1. Skarmory get a massive buff. They buffed the Steel Wings. Steel Wings is now Poison Jab clone. I don't know why I have Marowak here. Marowak, I mean, it's kind of like a spice pick, okay? It's not as meta as it might look. I don't think it's even meta. I don't think we can say it's meta as well. Another like ideal scenario about elite Pokemon is Pidgeot, where you have good fast move pressure, you have a debuff move like Feather Dance, and you have a nuking Brave Bird. Mantine is one of the good leads here because you also like have decent bulk, and you technically beat a Skarmory. If you have Bubble Beam, you just Bubble Beam them to death. Aurorus is one of the Pokemons that you should fear in this cup because it was kind of popular, but now with the Skarmory being around, like it's 2 times weak to Steel Wing because Rock and Ice both take super effective from Steel, right? Surfetch is one of my favorite Pokemons in this cup because technically the bulky stuff do not exist, so you can have some play around Surfetch. Guzzlord is technically the best dragon. I would say Dragonair is better, but technically Dragonair is more of like a safe swap Pokemon because even against the ice Pokemons, you can just Dragon Breath them all the way down because you just have insane fast move pressure. The safe swaps here, something to mention. If you want to use Obama Snow, don't use Shadow. Don't use Shadow Obama Snow. Also, don't use Weather Ball. You need Icy Wind. So use non-Shadow Obama Snow with Icy Wind over Weather Ball. Yes, it's more expensive, but it does help in lots of matchups. Diggersby is always insanely good in this in the Great League Remix because it's just like the Bastiodon. of the Great League Remix. Wigglytuff has been... Wigglytuff got 2 decent buffs. They gave it Disarming Voice, then they gave it Icy Wind. So now it's probably the best Pokemon in the 2 Shield, as long as you don't get it locked into a Toxapex or something like that. But yeah, it's a worthwhile using Pokemon, and it's a decent Pokemon. A Dragonair, you need the Shadow. For the Quagsire, well, Quag and Whiscash are both decent Pokemons, and I'm assuming everyone will be running those because they just perform good. I think Whiscash is actually better. I don't know why I have Whiscash here. Whiscash is supposed to be beside Poliwrath as like an OP Pokemon. So everything on the top is basically an OP Pokemon. Everything in the bottom is something that belongs to a category. So here we have Dubwool as like... Dubwool is like... We call it like another Vigoroth. It's the sheep Vigoroth. Can we move this? Okay. Okay, now we can bring everything back and put the Diggersby here. So yeah, Diggersby is the Bastion of this cup. If you had someone who enjoys Basti, remember that Diggersby exists. And Carbink is the Fairy Basti. You can also use it here. Cresselia is probably the best safest swap in this cup, but as long as you dodge seeing a Skarmory, it has play against everything. Vigoroth is like one of the most insanely good Pokemons. Toxapex has a decent bulk, good fast move pressure, but the coverage move with like Brian is not the greatest. Coffin is a decent Pokemon. It's a good closer. It's always good to use whenever you see like themed cups. Steelix is just a Steelix, you know, but you cannot use this stuff because Poliwrath, Whiscash are going to be dominant. Those Pokemons are just insanely good, okay? And yeah, don't sleep on Poliwrath. If you can get a Shadow one, get yourself a Shadow one. I saw the Poliwag in the Shadow raid, so make sure to raid them if you don't have them. Some spicy stuff you could use. Buzzwole is a worthwhile using Pokemon because remember, Skarmory does not run Aerial Ace anymore. Machamp for the same reason. Drapion is never a bad Pokemon. Gliscor, it's just a bad Gligar. Munchlax is, you know, like a poor man's Licky, right? Hakamo is my favorite dragon to use, so probably I will get some Hakamo battles. Slugma is technically good. I don't know what to use it because it's just like a Pokemon that just either destroy or get destroyed. There is no in between. Kanto Ninetale is something that can be used because something to talk about here. This league used to be dominated by Dragalge. I remember like when I started streaming, I used to use Dragalge, and this was my favorite cup to use. My favorite cup to play, Great League Remix and Retro Cup. And I was using Dragalge on both. Wait, I can't use the Dragalge in Retro. I'm sure I can. I cannot use a Steel Fairy. Yeah. And Kanto Ninetale was a good answer with energy to Dragalge because you have Psyshock. So now, okay, we talked about the Pokemons. Let's just talk about the top teams. So what are the top teams? What are the teams that people will be running? So, and if you are around this channel, you know that we run always something, we suggest something that's called top 3 PvPoke. What's top 3 PvPoke? You look at PvPoke and you look number 1, number 2, number 3. So Carbink, Skarmory, and Mandibuzz. So technically it's Skarmory, Carbink, Mandibuzz. What's the safe swap, Yasser? Wait, you think this is an actual team? You know what Poliwrath does to this team? Poliwrath destroys the entire team here, so you cannot run this team. But if you try to build a team around... So if you're going to run this team, I recommend using Gligar here somewhere. I don't know. And just hope that you don't see Poliwrath. So replace one of those 3 with Gligar. Probably replace Skarmory with Gligar, honestly. And lead Mandibuzz. Because Mandibuzz is a Snarl, okay? It's not Ed/Mandy. It's a Snarl Mandy. But the best team, if you go and... Okay, the best team. What's the best team? Basically, if you go to PvPoke, you want to build a team. So the best Pokemon is the Skarmory. And you try to build a Pokemon around the Skarmory. Its PvPoke will suggest a Gligar as a coverage. Because technically, you're weak to Poliwrath. And then you could have Guzzlord as a third Pokemon. So technically, the team is... double Flyers. How do we deal with Whiscash? Well, you technically have Gligar. Gligar isn't bad as long as they don't get a debuff. Gligar win. If they get the debuff, it's actually annoying. And you have Guzzlord for the Whiscash. But that's not the team I will be running. For me, it's basically I'm going to be running Poliwrath with Whiscash or a Dragonair with Whiscash. And the best third I could find in this cup as a safest swap is either going to be Lickitung. I think we can use Lickitung, right? How is Lickitung not banned? Bro, how? It's the most common Pokemon. So here in this slot, you can either have this thing or Licky or Skarmory. Basically 1-2 or 1-2 with Licky. It's basically the video, the teams I'm posting on the video on the YouTube channel. Skarmory's Double Mud and Double Mud Boys is one of the best teams in the Open Great League, so you can implement the same method here and just run Skarmory with Whiscash and Clodsire. You could be more flexible with this team and replace it like this and have Whiscash as the lead and have Skarmory in the back. And technically Clodsire with Sludge can do some good damage to Poliwrath. Here you have it technically, and Whiscash is not bad against Poliwrath. Yes, Poliwrath win, but you can leave them in farm down range. If you like Carbink and you want to build a balanced team around Carbink, I think this is probably the best team around Carbink. You run Mandibuzz as a safe swap because this thing just get destroyed by Skarmory in the lead. So whenever you see a Skarmory in the lead, you just swap to Snarl and Mandibuzz. You need a Snarl, okay? You don't run Air Slash. And then you have Whiscash as a closer just in case they swapped in a Skarmory. So you go to your own Whiscash and you just keep getting Scald debuffs. Now, moving to a Vigoroth team. You will see lots of Whiscash or lots of Vigoroth in this cup because those are just too dominant of Pokemons. Like, I'm expecting Whiscash, Vigoroth, Poliwrath to be the most common three. We might even see triple counter, to be honest. The triple fighters team, triple counter team. Mantine is something I'm using here just in case it's just to remind people that Mantine is a Pokemon they can use in this cup. Just in case, like you face lots of Gligar, you can use Whiscash as a safe swap, and then you have this. And honestly, like Vigoroth up 3 counters can beat Gligar. Another solid team I could think of is basically Vigoroth double flyers, where you use a Skarmory, uses Gligar as a safe swap, and you have a Skarmory to close the game. So these are like the most common Pokemons I'm expecting. Technically, are not what I'm expecting to be meta, but it should be similar to what we talked about. So now let's show some teams from previous seasons, so you guys can have something in your mind about how was this cup being played. And in the back, before they nerf Weather Ball, I used to spam Cast Form, similar to Smash King. We were both like spamming the heck out of this Pokemon. And I would safe swap, we used to use either Noctowl or Mandibuzz, depending on the meta. But then Noctowl now is banned, so technically this thing should be better. And I believe that this should be able to beat a Skarmory. And I don't know if it does beat Carbink, but he should do good with shields. Steelix as a third. This used to be like a third, but technically now you just replace Steelix with a Whiscash. Another team that was suggested by Wowtastics. He said Toxapex with Diggersby and Double. Back then I did not have Double. Last time we had the Open Great League Remix was season 13. Triple Normal is a team that you will face in this cup, but technically you need Pidgeot now just because of the Poliwrath. I don't think you can run this because Poliwrath is just massive in this cup. The Ferkster fans, this is a team Ferkster I think used to hit like page 1 on leaderboard, basically top 10 with this team. He used to run Escavalier, okay, with Whiscash and Charizard. Why Escavalier? There was lots of Dragalge back then, but now I think Escavalier is technically doesn't do bad into Carbink and Skarmory. I don't know, I think I'm sure you get demolished by the Whiscash. But yeah, Whiscash is now even better. Shadow Charizard, I wouldn't use it, but I would try to use something different. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much everyone for watching. If you guys like the video, please feel free to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And if you have any question about any of these Pokemons, any of this content, make sure to leave it in the comment section below and I will be glad to answer it. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video. Peace.